Hello, and welcome to this edition of the A2Pcast. Leading us into the introduction for this special little mini-sode is Josh Hartman, that's me, writer for Alive to Play, as well as music series special correspondent. I've just given myself that title. With me here is Michael Schupsky, another writer for Alive to Play, and we are going to have a discussion for this.
Where's my title?
I don't think you have a title. So there you go. We're going to have a discussion today on our predictions and our excitement for the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special coming out this Saturday, the 23rd. You can see it on TV on BBC America. You can see it in 3D in theaters around the world all on the same day, or you can see it on a web stream. With your torrents. So you can see it in a variety of different fashions this coming Saturday. So let's jump right in. We've got a lot of trailers out here. And since I started talking, I'm going to throw it to Mike Schupsky. What would you say is your single most excited element within you
For the 50th?
for the 50th anniversary?
It's the easiest route to go. John Hurt, David Tennant, Matt Smith, all in the same episode on the same screen. That's obviously a very big excitement of mine. But I think the return of the theme of Time Wars, and the theme of the Doctor as not just a savior but a warrior in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is one of the. I think this is one of the major themes of this special, because this has been a build-up since the show came back in 2005. And the Time War didn't exist before 2005. People who haven't watched, I've barely seen anything of the classic series. I've read things. But for those of you who might not have read things and only know the new series, the Time War was invented for the new series in order to kind of reset things and be able to explain away things that they wanted to do to make the show a little bit more grounded in Earth.
Yeah, and it's much
Russell Davies, kind of, if I'm remembering correctly, he thought that jumping back into the show after so long would be really difficult with how crazy it got, with all the Time Lords running around, with people still going back and forth between Gallifrey and all these. There's so many characters and so many things, and he just wanted to come up with some reason that he could just say, no, this is a man who travels through space with a box, and it's him. That's all you got to know, that's all you got to care about. So he came up with the Time War to kind of explain why we really only had to worry about this guy, and he comes to Earth, and this is his friend companion who we can identify with.
And I also like that they kept it somewhat shrouded in mystery throughout
And it's only we've only had the tiniest little tidbits.
In terms of what it was.
What was the Time
War? What exactly was it?
What was his role?
Yeah. But I also I think more than anything we're going to see what it did to him, like as a...
Right, and I think this has been an important characterization in 9, 10, and 11. I would say especially with 9, which is why I'm... Especially with 9. And 9 doesn't get as much... 9 never gets as much love, because he only has that one season, and they got those bad synthesized marimbas, and the worst visual effects of everything. But Season 1 has some really good episodes in it, and 9... his understated character is actually really good, and this could really help us see why, because he is the immediate successor.
Yeah, he's fresh off this horrible tragedy, this horrible travesty, and you can just see it. Like he's like has this intense sadness about him, but he tries his best to face. I think you can see that when you go back and know more about it and watch Christopher Eccleston's performance. You can see more of that subduedness is a big word a lot of people like to use, but they don't exactly know why. And I think that was a big reason why. He's the first Doctor after this big gargantuan thing, and like I said, doesn't not get as much love as I'd like.
Doesn't get as much love, and so far they've said he has nothing to do with 50th anniversary. But Stephen Moffat is one of the biggest liars on the planet. So I'm not certain that I believe that, especially because I do want to bring up that I was just reading an interview today with Stephen Moffat. And he was talking about the new special they made, Night of the Doctor, which we have to talk about that a little bit, where we saw the 8th Doctor come in. And he even had a nice little plug. And they filmed this during the filming for the 50th anniversary. It was all done at the same time, but they kept it secret until the day it released. It's just so glorious when he comes on. She says, "I don't need a doctor." And he walks in, "I'm a doctor. Probably not the one you're expecting." And I was like, holy shit!
It's 8.
It's 8! I didn't even know the man was alive. I didn't know he had a career. But no, here he is on this ship getting ready to do things. And of course, we have to see his death and his regeneration to tie us back into the season 7 finale to kind of explain where John Hurt comes from.
Yes. It's a substantially younger John Hurt, so like I like how
and they brought in like a younger John, which is also important because they never let us actually see the regenerated version.
Yeah.
But they show us just enough that he's young to imply that when we see him in the special, he's so old. There's been a lot of time war that's happened to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the Stephen Moffat's thing, he said that he feels like a completionist and he wants to have all the box sets and everything, and he needs to see every regeneration. That's really important to him. And it's funny that he says this a week away from the 50th anniversary, having just completed a regeneration that nobody got to see, which leaves one regeneration in the entire history of all the Doctors that we have not seen. And that would be from John Hurt to Christopher Eccleston. So, I do not believe that Christopher Eccleston is not going to be in this. I think he's going to show his little ass up right at the end.
I don't know, though, because just knowing Christopher Eccleston and knowing...
He does seem really averse to doing
how much, I wouldn't say despises the role, but he definitely... That was one of the main reasons why he didn't do multiple seasons, because he didn't want to get typecast. I mean, as it turns out, he's not typecast as anything now. He's not really doing anything.
He's got the opposite problem of being typecast. Yeah. He's not cast.
But
although he is in the new Thor movie, which I haven't seen yet. But he is the chief bad guy in The Dark World.
Oh, okay. Little segue into that. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
But getting back to that short film, or short segment that we got with 8, you made a very good point of the way John Hurt's wardrobe is set up to be a perfect counterbalance to 8 and 9.
And what's funny, I think he's wearing that exact same costume in the season finale of 7.
I'd have to go back and see that.
That moment that it turns around, "But I saw all of you," and he's like, "That's the point. That isn't who I am." And he turns around and says, "Introducing John Hurt as the Doctor." And we're like, what the fuck do you mean he's the Doctor? Which Doctor? We count them all. Here they are, as Clara said. And the leading theory was that he must be something to do with the Time War, and he has to be shoved into that missing time that we don't know anything about between 8 and 9, which now we know is true. What we probably could have known had we looked at his costume, because... if you Google this, you can find nice comparison pictures, but John Hurt's War Doctor, which is also, I think, is a brilliant name for him, as the War Doctor, his costume is made entirely out of 9's leather jacket and 8's Victorian frock. And they just, like, put them on top, like, one underneath the other.
Squish them together, and then, and you get... I didn't even pick up on this. Well, because I had never seen 8 until...
Right, I mean, even not many people have seen it. He was still 10 years before 2005. Exactly. And it was a made-for-TV movie. And I will point out it was a made-for-American TV movie. It premiered in the United States. The Doctor was the only British person on the show. On the movie. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen little clips. But this little thing makes me want to see more... See more 8. I did... they've been going through the retrospective of all the Doctors leading up to the 50th. And I did watch 8's episode for his movie. And it's interesting how much Radagast, Sylvester McCoy, is in that movie too, to explain how we get from 7 to 8. But there is a nice moment of how Doctor-like he was. I wasn't sure I believed him as the Doctor, because it was like this strange little TV movie. It's like, why does he get to be the actual Doctor? But there's a great scene of him trying to get past a police barricade by offering the police officer a jelly baby, and then taking the police officer's gun and holding it up to his chest, and then threatening to shoot himself, all in like one breath. Jelly baby? No, really, they're wonderful. Now let me through before I kill myself. And he's just ties right in with that. How long do I have to live? 4 minutes. 4 minutes? God, that's ages. What if I get bored? Bring me television. Someone bring me knitting. I don't know what to do. So I want more 8, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
the rambling point I'm trying to make here. And it's a shame that the first time we brought him into the full visual series, more than just the audio series that he's been doing, he dies. So that's a bit of a shame. But okay, so that's the Doctors. I think we are excited about seeing the Doctors and the Doctor's character and his clothing change between the 50th. There is also talk we should have on companions for the 50th. Because, I mean, obviously we have Clara, because she is the current companion. That just makes sense. And Rose, which it's easy to say that Rose is the most important of 10's companions. And she is also the only companion that 9 had.
But which Rose?
But how does Rose actually come into it? At what point along their journey? Because something that we've noticed watching these trailers is there's a whole lot of Bad Wolf Rose.
Bad Wolf vibes with the
going
eyes.
on. She's got these glowing eyes on. I don't know, what is this dress that she's wearing that is not a very Rose? And I've seen some of the Rose. There is like regular Rose. I think we solidly have a regular Rose going on one of her regular Doctor adventures, but I think we also will have some Bad Wolf thrown into that, and I wonder if that version of Rose could, again, another one of those many things that he keeps throwing into the story to be able to explain away anything he needs to explain away. There's a word for that, isn't there? And so I think that could even just be the entire setup for how do these two Doctors come together, him crossing his own time stream. Oh, Bad Wolf Rose came in and just fixed everything up for us, didn't she?
Created conflict by showing herself. So yes, I do think there will be a big, convoluted, crazy way to explain all this away, but I'm extremely excited to see how it all unfolds. Yeah, I think we should still talk about David Tennant, because we haven't talked about David Tennant yet.
I'm just so excited to see David Tennant again. Although, tied in with companions, we're getting Rose. I'm really sad that we don't get to see... I mean, maybe we'll get to see some of the other companions. I just love Donna so much. I mean, Martha, as I've always said, I loved Martha when I watched Martha. After Martha leaves, I never missed Martha, so...
Martha, you forgot about immediately after seeing...
and then she keeps sticking around, like, halfway through season 4, and you're like, okay, Martha, thank you, go away now. But Donna, I love Donna, and...
I still think I love the way that her arc ended.
Her arc
ends,
and we don't want to be too spoilerific with this, in case you haven't caught up with the show. But Donna does have that beautifully tragic ending.
Amazingly tragic.
And so that could be a reason why we don't want to see her. And also, if we want to have Rose in, they might want to do it before that whole, sucked into another time zone, crying Doctor against the wall face, so we can just get a more generic story element.
I agree. So yeah, it's sad. I still think
might be the most logical choice to go with just a regular Dr. Rose, but I hope we might be able to at least get a glimpse of Donna doing something somewhere, just as as we always talk about on the A2Pcast, we hate fan service.
Yes.
But when you're doing a 50th anniversary, there's a certain amount of fan service that it just kind of has to be built up.
It's called the 50th anniversary. It's called the 50th anniversary for a reason, and that's because fans love Doctor Who, and they love that it's the 50th, and they want to see. I wouldn't see why David Tennant wouldn't be there if it is. I'd call that a form of fan service. But again, you still have to make it somewhat believable in the context of the story.
Yeah.
So the fact that Donna isn't in there is okay.
I will survive. David Tennant did say something in an interview that I also think is crucial. Going on with their big, publicity, and they like to say big fancy things. Looking forward to another 50 years after this. Okay, sure, whatever. But in terms of character, we talked about how the 50th story makes perfect sense for all the character arc for the Doctor we've seen thus far. This is a man recovering from the atrocities he committed in this war, and he, killed his entire race and all the things.
Yeah, in a way, running away from it.
Running away from it. This is all part of his thing. And David Tennant does say that this is he might have even used the $10 phrase, paradigm shift for the Doctor, because this is the time when we finally get to see him deal with it. And when December comes along and Peter Capaldi steps into the role, we're going to have new ground for the Doctor to break. Because we have to...
Yeah, you have the setup of 9 immediately after the Time War, and then we have it concluding with John Hurt confronting 11, Matt Smith. So yeah, the thrust of the show, as far as I'm concerned, like the very subtle thrust, like yeah, okay, so like I think season 1 is all about Time War and Christopher Eccleston or Nine getting over the shock of the Time War, and then I think as you go along, there's still subtle references to it, but like you said, it's not. It's more like shrouded in mystery. But he's trying to run away from it, and now it's being thrust right back into
Yeah,
it.
and I think
So, like this arc could conceivably come to a close. I mean, I don't think it'll be completely closed, but I think the overarching
the character will, he'll always remember that, but he does have to have. It'll have to take a little turn, a detour into new character developments, because 9, 10, 11 do have characteristics that they share.
Yeah.
They all have that dark side, and the Doctor has always had a bit of a dark side. That's always been the exciting thing about him. The things I know of the classic Doctors, Sylvester McCoy in particular, really started to have just sadistically manipulative streaks in him, even though he was all fun and games and magic tricks on the surface. And it's interesting that the Doctors, 9, 10, 11, in certain ways just get darker as they go on. 9 keeps his composure on the surface the most. And 10 has just those beautiful crying gifs.
Yeah.
And 10 has a lot of emotions. He just has a lot of feelings inside of him.
If I had to have one word to describe 10, it'd be loneliness and coping with loneliness, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's like an intense sadness and intense loneliness.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's still not exclusive to 10.
And oddly enough, 11, like, pure blind rage sometimes. Like, out of the blue.
And out of the blue, and I think, because there's this big shift. People can't see my hands. I'm doing hands to make a graph. There is what they display on the surface and what they feel underneath the surface. And it kind of switches as we go through. 10 has got a lot of really exciting things that he does. And 11 is the quirkiest and the funniest and the goofiest. But then at the same time, he's also the saddest and the loneliest.
I think that the more outlandish you get, the more you can see it's a masquerade to hide the sinister underbelly of the Doctor and what's really going on under there. What he's really feeling.
Yeah,
I think I'd love to see like this all just boil over. Like he's tried so desperately the whole season to like run away and hide what he's really feeling. And now the fact that John Hurt is in is just going to thrust all of this into the forefront, and I think we're going to see the Doctor as he truly is.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of emotions in this special. There's got a lot of emotions, a lot of feels, a lot of explosions, and a lot of anger. And when Peter Capaldi takes over in December, for as famous as he is for saying fuck, I think dramatically he's going to need to be less angry, and I'm really excited to see how he's written, being a Scottish Doctor who is less angry, and how funny, how dry, how anything. I do have a piece that I will be writing and will be coming out on the A2P website soon, where I go a little bit more in depth on my predictions for Doctor number 12.
Yeah, what he's going to be like.
What he's going to be like, the story things we have to resolve with him and Clara, some romantic tensions that need to be
just axed.
Kind of axed through when your crush ages 40 years in front of your eyes. How do you deal with that? So that is an article that I hope you all look forward to reading. And I think that's kind of sums up all of my thoughts for the 50th anniversary.
If I could just make one more point about Peter Capaldi's, like, we're going to have this big climactic moment with 50. Like, what are we going to have? Have we had any word on the Christmas special? What is...
Well, again, these are things I'm going to write about, but Cybermen is the rumor.
Okay.
Cybermen, death, tears, probably some snow.
Yeah, it's Christmas, so snow seems appropriate, but I'm just, the only thing I'm worried, well, not worried, but just like, after this big cathartic moment of the 50th, like, can we actually handle... Is it going to be an upward trajectory, or is it just going to be like a little more mellow, like Christmas special, time to go, I'm turning into the...
You know?
Capaldi? I don't know.
I don't know, and I hadn't thought of that. I think that might be the most, how will 11 take care of his own death after dealing with his big character moment?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I bet you it'll be great.
Oh, I bet you. Oh, I have no doubt.
Bet you I'll cry like a little bitch. Bet you I will. All right, so that is the end of our Doctor Who 50th anniversary segment. Like I said, you can catch it in a variety of mediums, both legal and otherwise, this Saturday, the 23rd, and look for my article about Peter Capaldi. Projections.
Yes.
Projections coming out this week or early next week. And that's all for us. I'm Josh Hartman, writer for Alive to Play, and Mike Schupsky, another writer for Alive to Play. Have a good day.